is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson on Demand.
Now I got a real problem. Well, I started thinking as I was talking to the green guy, I was reading some of the green issues, but they keep talking about offsetting our carbon footprint. Well, I think things are okay right now. Right? I mean, look around. Is the world basically okay, environmentally speaking, weather-wise? If I don't believe in man-made global warming, and I don't, the world is basically okay. You have your ups and downs, right? But if they're right, and it does exist, I like things how they are right now. No, you expect certain things from the area. Do you want it to get colder here? Well, global warming goes away. Could get colder, right? Do you want it to get warmer? These are things you have to consider. So if you like things how they are now, I've come to expect certain temperatures, certain things from the weather, certain things out of the environment, and they offset their carbon footprint, what's going to happen? They are going to change the environment and climate. So what am I supposed to do? How can I stop these people from changing it? I like it how it is. I need to offset their offsets somehow. I had to think more about this. I'll talk more about it coming up in a couple minutes. Matt Mayer joins me now from the Buckeye Institute. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fine. I got to offset their offsets. I'm very concerned by this.
Well, I wish you would hurry up and not do that, because that's freezing up in Columbus in mid-May, and I'd appreciate some warmer temperatures. So pump up some more CO2 to get things moving.
You want a little bit warmer up there? Okay, I understand. Interesting. I saw an article you wrote last week on this Ohio schools, the magazine from the Ohio Education Association.
Yeah, their propaganda is what we call it.
This is a really disturbing magazine.
Yeah.
This is all about, well, first of all, on the cover of it is a lady holding up a sign. It says, "It's about my students." Yet, it really isn't about her students. The whole thing's about her union.
That's what it seems to indicate, yeah, when they're trying to push propaganda onto 9-year-olds to make them union lovers. That seems to me it's not about the kids, it's about the union.
I mentioned some parts of this last week. I was off Friday, but earlier in the week I had mentioned how they talk in this magazine that it is important to unionize the students, to create a generation of students who support teachers and the movement of rights for teachers as part of the curriculum.
Yeah, and of course there's reports out today that because Ohio gamed with the system, our schools, in terms of their yearly progress marks, are going to now have a steeper curve to start meeting the standards, and they expect large numbers of our schools that have been performing excellent, good, to actually fall down because they're not going to hit the percentages of kids that are progressing properly. So at a time where we actually need to do more to make sure Ohio is keeping up in its K-12 education, the OEA wants teachers to spend time teaching unionism. In the benefits of unionism, rather than math, reading, writing, science, and the like.
The best I can say about this, Matt, is this is a conflict of interest.
Huge conflict of interest. And it's not just that. It goes beyond just the unionism stuff. I mean, I don't know if you checked out the Indie Kids website that they refer to, but boy, that website, and I think I talk about this where it's a alternative news source for kids, again, 9-year-olds, that they want teachers to send kids to that talk about George W. Bush being a war criminal. Global warming is another topic, of course, that they promote in these. And these articles are completely biased, not fact-based. George Bush admitted torturing people, which is not the case. No matter where you are on the issue, right? There's never said he tortured anyone.
Right.
So they're not just sending unionism. It's also just liberal, progressive propaganda that they're trying to push into the minds of 9-year-olds who one, don't know the difference, two, have lots of parents who disagree that their kids being taught that, and 3, are powerless to push back against a teacher pushing this stuff.
Now, I am certainly bothered by that. I hate agenda-driven schools, and I would say that even if it's conservative agenda, I think schools got to be public schools got to be as universal and as open, and present as much information unbiasedly as possible. And I am certainly disturbed by that. But it takes on the next a whole different level when you're talking about the conflict of interest. Agenda is bad, but imagine if I said, from now on, I need schools to teach kids this indoctrination every day of their school life, that when they grow up, they need to make sure to only buy products of people who advertise on 700 WLW and only listen to people will go, Doc, that's outrageous. How dare you? We can't do that. Well, but teachers can do it and they're the ones teaching it to further their own careers?
That's right. And keep in mind, I think this is an important point to make. My guess is the vast majority of teachers think this stuff is garbage.
I think many of them do, yes.
I got this because a teacher looked at this and said, what the heck? And it's somebody who's forced to join a union because it's closed shop. And this teacher was like, this is ridiculous junk, and I'm against this. This is the type of stuff. They got so angry, they're willing to step up and get involved in SB 5, believe it or not. And this is right because they're looking at this as this is just the union going after more power, trying to do propaganda, to keep them out of the classroom, folks.
Is it wrong? Is it a conflict when you see schools advertising on their property in favor of levies? I think there's something wrong with that.
Well, that's it's an interesting question that came up at our legislative orientation in December, because we've talked about, that they can't use taxpayer funds to do a campaign for. But what they do is this pernicious stuff, right? They put information into the classroom that goes home with the kids to the parents. They have teachers say to the kids, if your parents don't vote for this levy, I may lose my job. And then they put these signs saying, look what we've done with all the great money you've given us. And in my view is, one, that stuff needs to stop, or if it doesn't stop, boy, they should have to give equal time to people who are opposed to it, who could put up a sign that says, oh, by the way, here's all the waste. Your superintendent's making $200,000. You've got teachers that are doing elementary gym, teacher making $96,000 that'll have huge pensions. So to get the information out there in a fair and balanced way, rather than using taxpayer funds to essentially increase taxes on taxpayers. I mean, it's a ridiculous idea.
Right. I mean, you've already got the home court advantage because the kids are going to school there, so you got to be very careful. I mean, if you are truly upstanding people, and I like to think I am, I understand when there is a conflict over something like that. I've talked about it in the year before when I've tried to explain I had a conversation with my niece a couple of years ago, and at the time she was 15, and I am a very conservative person when it comes to fiscal matters, certainly. And she's like, well, I don't understand the difference between Democrats and Republicans and conservative, whatever. So I sat down with her for about an hour, and I laid out 10, 15, whatever of, some of the biggest key issues. And I argued both sides. And I did so, very unbiasedly, and say, well, if you believe this side, you're kind of believing this, you believe this side. If I can do that, Matt, as staunch as I am in my belief, why can't the schools do that?
But why? Well, because they have an interest in maintaining the status quo, which is more money, more union power, and that's why they don't do this stuff in a fair and unbiased way. But look, again, there are lots of teachers out there that do. And so we don't want a broad brushstroke and malign
that is true.
Teachers.
You're right.
The majority of teachers don't buy into this stuff, and they teach what they teach and do a great job, and that's not the issue. The issue here is the OEA pushing indoctrination of our kids as young as 9 years old. That's crazy. They need to keep their hands out of our classroom and let teachers do their jobs. They have enough to do. Let's let teachers not worry about indoctrinating unionization issues in the classroom.
Well, and this is the point right here. You're right. It is about the OEA. You can see it in this magazine. You have good teachers that are in school right now, teachers that drive back and forth, listen to this program, you've heard us talk about this issue, and you're right, they're thinking, listen, I'm not a part of this, I don't agree, and that's the reason I keep saying it's not about them, it's the union that's interested in the union and protecting itself, and this magazine shows that.
That's exactly right, and you can just see it. I mean, you see up on the quotes, the websites where they want teachers to refer kids to, just liberal, progressive union ideas that most people reject. Because I can say, only 21% of Americans define themselves as liberal, progressive. So, the vast majority of people don't buy into this stuff. So they should just keep it out of the classroom. Let's focus on the root skills that we need our kids to have so they can compete in a global marketplace.
I'm going to go ahead and put a link to this, to your article and that about this OEA magazine at my blog at 700WLW.com. People can check it out for themselves.
Great.
This is not, me and you arguing. This is in the OAA's April publication.
Yes, their own words. Don't take mine.
Right.
Just read their own stuff. We link to the letter. We highlight it. You can see for yourself all this stuff.
All right, Matt. So what's going on with SB 5? Do we have any idea what's happening right now? I did hear that they ended up coming to an agreement that they are going to take, I think, $54, if I remember right, from every
from teachers. Yeah.
Is that number right? Do you recall?
Yeah, it's $54. I think like less than 1,000 teachers attended this thing where they voted on it, and so you've got about 113,000 or so teachers that didn't get a chance to vote that are now going to be stuck with the $54 fee to pay for the union's SB 5 activities. Again, it's the same type of stuff we've seen before. Not surprising. They're in the process of getting the signatures to get it on the November ballot to overturn SB 5. So we'll see what happens on June 30th, and thereafter if they get the signatures. And if they do, we're going to see a campaign by folks to support it and those who oppose it, and have the fight we should have had years ago on this issue, and see where Ohioans come down.
Right, and if Ohioans say it's crazy, then so be it, and that'll be the law of the land.
Yeah, I think that's right. And for people like you and me, if the voters overwhelmingly say get rid of SB 5, we like the status quo, that sends a great message to folks. And I don't think that should be the case. As you know, our work supports this. But hey, at least my family knows where Ohio's going to go down over the course of the next few years, and we can make decisions that are then informed decisions for what's best for our family. Before
I let you go, I want to mention the conflict of interest. I think indirectly, it's a little strung out, but in the $54 mandate that every union teacher is going to have to go ahead and be docked, essentially, or have $54 taken from them by the union in order to fight SB 5. How is that any different than the argument from the pro-government employee unions that say, well, you'll be negotiating, management will be negotiating our side essentially as well? Well, first of all, I always shoot that down because guess what? Management negotiates their side as well when it comes to my contract, right? And as individuals, they can still do that. But how is this any different to say, listen, we're going to make you join the union in many cases, and in a situation like this, we're going to take $54 because, like you said, 1,000 people or less than 1,000 voted for this in order to fight, so we can end up getting you more money. But don't worry, because if it works, you'll get more money and you'll get this back. There's some serious conflicts there.
Well, of course there is, and the reality is there's a shrinking pie to get more money, and so they really can't make those kinds of promises. I mean, we've done the numbers. We looked at all 613 school districts. We have charts on every single one using their own data that shows by 2015, Ohio's school districts will have a collective deficit of $7.6 billion. That is before any budget came out. That was back in October. They did their own projections. They estimate 96% of revenue will be swallowed by compensation package costs. So you can get cheap toilet paper, all that fun stuff, but the fundamental reality is there is a declining amount of money available for this. So the OEA can make promises, but they're writing checks they can't cash.
All right, thank you so much, Matt Mayer from the Buckeye Institute.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. And there's we have a link up there yet to that story, to the PDF? Is it there? Oh, he's putting it right now. All right, the next couple of minutes, it'll actually officially upload. You can go there and read it for yourself. It's interesting. It shows it is truly from groups like the OEA that are doing the harm. It is not many of the teachers out there. They understand it. They get what's going on. They just want to be able to work, make a decent living like all of us. It's propaganda like this. You've got to see it. It is incredible when it talks openly in it about teaching kids to support the union. Even if you're somebody who wants your kids to support the union, you have to admit that is a conflict of interest because the people doing the teaching, advocating this, it benefits them. How is that not a conflict of interest? Doc Thompson, 700 WL.